Hi, and welcome to this free workshop that I have created to help you with your mental health. So, this is going to be really raw, vulnerable, sharing a little bit about my story and giving you the hints and the tips as to how I completely 360'd my mental health. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Em. I have my own travel business and I've also gone into coaching as well. So I do that alongside. I kind of got into the coaching industry due to the travel business because obviously I realized there's a lot about mindset and there's a lot about, mental blocks and limiting beliefs and stuff like that. And it was through joining the travel business in February 2019 where I started to have the light bulb moments of my mental health problems. And actually, I had the ability to be able to change that. So, a little bit about my story. I've had a lot of trauma, and that is what causes mental health issues. So it's when I say trauma, it can be anything. So it's anything that your brain at the time processes it to be unsafe, or it's the emotion that's attached to it. And basically, what happens is between the ages of 0 to 7, our brains are like little sponges and we hold on to things and we can't process things and we have stored emotions. And that is why people hold on to things and it affects the mental health. But obviously, I didn't know any of this stuff. So, obviously, when I had the mental health problems, I had anxiety and depression. I've been labeled loads of things. I had postnatal depression, then I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. Like you name it, I've probably been diagnosed with it. And ultimately, what it is the fact that we're not given the right tools to be able to deal with it. So I've gone through life between the early ages. So the first sign of trauma that I had was when I was 5 years old. I'm not going to go into too much detail because that is not my story now. But I had a lot of child abuse when I was 5 years old. And there's been other things that have then gone on top of that. So, like bullying, obviously, the abandonment. So, I had about abandonment issues, narcissistic relationships. Like, I've had loads of things. Um, and that obviously does impact and it really affects your mental health. But obviously throughout that, we go through the normal channel of counseling and taking medication. And like I said, it was only until when I joined this travel business in February 2019 that I just started another dose of counseling because they were saying that I'd got um, anxiety disorder due to my daughter being born premature, which is understandable because obviously she spent 11 weeks in hospital. So there was a lot of anxiety and like attachment disorder there because obviously I wasn't with her and she was born premature. But the answer to that was to then put me back under counselling again. And it was only until I started to reflect on it. So obviously 2020 we had the dreaded COVID. So we had lockdown. So counselling actually finished. And for me, it was just, an hour phone call once a week. And I think that's when like the light bulb moment hit me really of this just isn't working. And I've always known deep down that for me, yes, talking therapy does serve its place. And I'm not completely knocking it whatsoever. It does serve its place. It's better to talk about things. However, a caveat to that with talking about things over and over and over again without seeing a different outlook to it or not changing the way that your brain's deemed it and looking at the bigger picture, we still hold on to that. And I was very much stuck in that story. So, what was the pivotal point for me when things changed? It was when, and I still remember like it was yesterday, my ex partner, obviously, is my ex partner now, he'd gone out for a night out. And I remember just sitting, well, I wasn't even watching TV because this was the other sign of it. Like, I couldn't focus. I felt numb. You're probably going to be able to relate to so much that I'm saying. I just felt numb. I couldn't concentrate on anything. I wasn't present for my children. I wasn't, I just wasn't the best version of myself that I could possibly be. And I remember sitting there one evening with the TV on in the background, and it was just as if I had an epiphany moment. I had an epiphany moment. And that realization for me was I don't have to stay stuck in this story. Like what I was doing wasn't serving me. It was the definition of insanity, like doing the same thing over and over and over again, but yet expecting a different result. I'd already been through counselling. I've done various of counselling throughout my whole life in different modalities and stuff like that. Um, and nothing worked until I invested in a coach. So after that realization, I paid over £1,000 in my own healing journey to be able to sift through all of this BS, through all of this filter, through all of this noise. Like, I didn't want to sit in the shadows anymore. I knew that I was ready to level up. I knew that I was ready to see things differently. And that led me onto my own healing journey. And I like I say, I paid over £1,000 to be able to do that. And I had one-on-one sessions with my coach at the time. Um, and it completely changed everything for me. Like it helped me be able to come off citalopram. It helped me to be able to process things differently. And that doesn't mean that it never happened to me. I'm not saying that going through the healing journey changes anything that happened to you because it absolutely did not change the awful things that happened to me. And trauma is trauma. And I'm not trying to minimize anything by saying that, oh, don't get stuck in your story because, you're overreacting or anything like that. Because absolutely, you are completely right with how you are feeling. And may I add, how you are feeling is only temporary because you can absolutely change it. And that was the pivotal point for me, knowing that I was in control of my emotions. I wasn't in control of what happened to me, but I am absolutely in control how I now choose to respond to that. I'm in control of how I want to be able to see that. And I didn't want to stay stuck in that story anymore. I wanted to change my story. So the way that I was able to do that is by following these steps. So, first of all, I had to get clear on all of the things that I was holding on to, which was impacting my mental health. That was the first thing that I had to do. No matter how trivial, no matter how small, like even the smallest of things that you might not think is trauma is probably trauma because two people can have the same thing happen to them. And it's about how you perceive that. It's about the meaning that you've given it. It's about the emotions that you've attached to it, which you're probably not going to be aware of until you do this work, because a lot of it is through the subconscious. Like I say, your mind is like a sponge between the ages of 0 to 7. So anything that you see, anything you perceive, anything you witness through your parents, your caregivers, TV, neighbors, siblings, anything that's passed down, it's all stored into your subconscious mind. And I like to think of it as, Bruce Almighty with the filing cabinet, and it just you pull it and it goes on for miles and miles and miles. That is our brain. Like that is what's stored. So the slightest little thing for me, which I at the time thought, nah, this can't be trauma. Like this can't be impacting my mental health. It actually was. And it was just something so simple of my mum at the age of 1 year old, I think I was nearly two, left me in a cot to cry. And it might not have been a long time, but that for me was trauma. I felt abandoned. So it now makes complete sense why I had at the time abandonment issues, and I struggled to trust people and I struggled to let people in and form relationships. And that obviously then impacts my mental health because what happens is we get ourselves into a cycle. And that's the other thing. So it's recognizing the pattern that you are currently stuck in, because we are our own worst enemies. Like, how many people right now watching this, when you are going through, a really low mood, how many people push people away? How many people like hide or binge watch or go get the chocolate bar out of the fridge, even though they know they shouldn't do, but they're going to go do it anyway? It's all self-soothing. It's our self-soothing mechanisms to try and help us to keep us safe. But actually, it's those behaviors that we do that is actually stopping us from connection. And that was one of the realizations that I had because that's the worst thing that you could do. Like when you are feeling the lowest of the low, your immediate reaction is to no, I'm not going out. I've been invited to my friend's house. No, I'm not going. But that is the very thing that you need to do because people, one of our fundamental needs is connection. One of our fundamental needs is, you know, feeling love and feeling like we belong in the world. Because without that, that does impact our mental health. So they are the fundamentals really to do with your mental health. So first of all, recognizing what it is that you're actually holding on to, recognizing the patterns that you are currently stuck in, and then start changing those. So even the slightest little things will help you. So following on from this workshop, I want you to recognize one of the things that you are currently doing now that you can change. So it can be something so simple, which is why I started drinking 2 liters of water. It is crazy, but it has a knock-on effect because by me drinking the 2 liters of water, that makes me feel better. If I then feel better, I show up differently. If I show up differently, like other people see me differently. And it just has, it's like a domino effect. So one simple action can lead on to changing other aspects of your life. It's crazy, but it works. And that really is the fundamentals. Obviously, that isn't everything because it's a deep journey. It is a deep journey from being able to take what's happened to you and to be able to change that to how you see it. Obviously, we're never going to change what's happened to you because it's happened. We can't do anything about that. And it's awful, the things that you've gone through. And I empathize and I've got compassion. And you've got to have compassion and empathy for yourself and a lot of self-love because you have gone through a lot, but you're still here, which is incredible. And you're watching this workshop. So that to me says, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to take that next step. I'm not willing to stay where I'm stuck, where I am right now. I'm ready to change my story. I'm ready to go on to the next chapter. And that all begins with you. So the way that I did this is I then, like I said, invested over £1,000 into my own healing journey. So what I've done from that is I've taken all of the steps, all of the tools, all of the techniques, and I've gone on to create my own course with all the fundamentals. I'm giving you everything, all the work that I've done myself from having years and years and years of trauma and over 10 years worth of counseling that did absolutely naff all for me. You know, I've put it all into an online course valued at £222 and 22p, a fraction of what I've paid. And the reason why I've done that is because I'm determined to try and help as many people as I possibly can change their mental health, just like I have. And it is completely possible. What you've tried right now hasn't worked. That doesn't mean that there's nothing out there that will work for you. It's just you've been trying the wrong things. I was trying the wrong things. Remember, doing the same thing over and over and over again leads to the definition of insanity. And that's why I did things differently. I wanted different results, so I had to do things differently. So, like I said, I invested over £1,000 into my own coach to help me, which has then led me to go on to doing my NLP. It's led me to go on to being co-authors of books. It's led me to investing in different modalities. Like it's been a complete game changer for me. And it all started by doing this work. because where you are right now is only temporary, and you have the possibilities, you have the opportunities to absolutely change that. And the way that you can do that is through looking at the course that I've created to help you do that. So, if you would like some more information about the course that I've created, please reach out to me. Ask me for the link for the course. I'm more than happy to send it over to you so you can have a look. If you've got any questions, obviously, please inbox me. I'm here to help. But you do have the tools and the power to be able to change how you are feeling because it is only temporary. I can't change what's happened to you, but I can absolutely change how you are feeling. I can change your mental state, and it's all done through the course that I've created by helping you get aware of what you're holding on to, by helping you change how the way that you see it. Remember, I can't change what's happened to you. We can't erase what's happened in the past, but we can absolutely change the way that your brain is perceiving it and change the way of the outlook of life that you've got at the moment to be able to change the way that you're showing up. The way that you feel creates the way that you behave. The way that you behave creates the results that you've got at the moment. And it's time we change that cycle. And I can help you do that. So if you'd like some more information, like I say, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you've got. And yeah, let's do this. Let's start changing mental health one step at a time. Let's get rid of the waiting list. Let's get rid of, people feeling stuck and like they can't do anything because you absolutely can. And if this workshop has helped you and given you light bulb moments, feel free to share it with somebody else that you know needs to hear this and needs to take a look at this course to help them as well. So thank you for watching. My name is Em, and it has been an absolute pleasure to deliver this for you today. And I really hope and trust that I will be working with you very, very soon.